No one really knows what it's like, well, for us, until they go out there and experience it themselves. Only we know what we go through.
Whenever I'm working, I just want to get all over with.
That job is for like grown people. It's not for young people.
I would never want my children to work in a tobacco field.
I started working in tobacco when I was 14 or 13 going to 14.
I was 12 years old.
When I was 14, that's when I started working with my parents.
The first time I went to tobacco was when I was 13 years old. It was hard.
In July, we went to North Carolina to investigate the effects of tobacco farming on 16 and 17-year-old kids, children who were excluded from protection under some of the new policies that tobacco companies and growers groups adopted in the last year. We interviewed 26 kids who were 16 or 17 years old. Almost all of them said they got sick while they worked. They described symptoms consistent with acute nicotine poisoning.
When it gets like really hot, like in the mid-90s, it feels like it's over 100 degrees in the field. So you start to get sick and you, like your stomach, and you have like a really sour taste in your mouth and you feel like you're going to throw up, but you never actually throw up. So it's really bad. And sometimes I get headaches.
I felt kind of nauseous. I felt dizzy. I felt like everything was just moving around. But I just try to keep going. It's not the kind of type of nauseous that, you feel whenever food makes you sick or anything. It feels different.
Green tobacco sickness is nicotine poisoning that workers get when they absorb nicotine through their skin. The symptoms of it are headache or dizziness, nausea or vomiting.
Like I was only halfway done and I started to feel sick and I thought I was going to throw up. And my heart was like pounding really, really, really fast, and it was just terrible. And I thought I was going to throw up, and I had a headache, and I just wanted to cry. I wanted to like go home, but I couldn't.
One of the things to remember with nicotine is that it is water soluble, and so as people are picking the tobacco and they're engulfed in it, they're getting wet. That water that is on their body, that's on their clothes, is full of nicotine.
What I wear to work is like long sleeve shirt, button up shirt that's not too thick, the fabric's not too thick, and these like gloves, and I wear a hat, and I cover my nose because sometimes when you're cutting off the suckers, like a leaf will fall off and then you get that like nasty smell of the tobacco, and I hate that smell and it makes me like sick. We have to provide our own stuff, like our bosses don't give us anything except for our checks.
These children had no protection, no education, no safety training, very little access to protective equipment.
You have to wear a trash bag so you won't get wet, because if you do get wet, after a while the chemical will rub off on you and it will start to itch your skin, and it will leave you really bad rash.
It burns and it's itchy sometimes. Like your face feels itchy, so when you scratch it, then you got the leaves, the chemicals in your hand, and when you scratch your face, then your face burns because of the chemicals.
We have evidence that this nicotine exposure during adolescence, during prenatal care, during early childhood can have an influence on the end result of brain development.
The other thing that we do know is that exposure to nicotine and certainly to pesticides leaves workers at risk for chronic diseases, neurodegenerative diseases later in life, cancer, reproductive problems.
Well, yesterday, the owner of the land of the tobacco we were working, he came up to us and he was like, "I'm about to spray the field across from y'all, just letting y'all know." And we were like, okay. And then he went and go spray, and he sprayed like on each row of the tobaccos. And then you could smell like the chemicals.
Pesticides are poison. That's what they're there. They're there to kill things. And our biology, human biology, is not that much different from that of an insect, that those poisons don't act on us also in the same ways.
The hardest part of working in tobacco is the heat.
The heat, it just gets inside of your body and your head. It's just hot. You start feel like you got a fever, and sometimes feel dizzy too.
Children don't necessarily feel thirsty when they should be drinking more water, and so they become dehydrated and at greater risk for heat stress than an adult might.
I would get up sometimes from where I was sitting, and then all of a sudden I would just fall, and I didn't have control of my body and I couldn't feel nothing. But then we went to the clinic to get my physical done, and it turns out I was dehydrated.
In every other industry in this country, we put real restrictions on 16 and 17-year-olds because we recognize not only their biological immaturity, but their social immaturity. Then if we think about children as children, because that's what they are, we're putting them to work in the nation's most hazardous industry, agriculture.
In the past year, some tobacco companies and growers groups have adopted new policies banning children under 16 from being hired to work on tobacco farms, but they still leave children vulnerable. 16 and 17-year-olds are still children. We urge the largest tobacco companies in the world to adopt clear policies banning all children under the age of 18 from any work where they have direct contact with tobacco, any work where they'd be exposed to nicotine and the other hazards of the crop. Tobacco companies don't bear the sole responsibility to protect children from hazardous work in tobacco farming. The U.S. government and Congress have failed to enact any laws or regulations to restrict children's work in tobacco farming. Tobacco companies and the U.S. government have the power to protect children from hazardous work in tobacco farming, and they're not doing enough.
I do not want to do this for the rest of my life.
It's not a good job for a teenager. I don't recommend no teenager to go out there.